Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you all are having a great day. And today, what I wanted to talk about was being selfish. And I brought this up in another video, and I wanted to expand on it. I made a bit of a mental note how I wanted to talk about it in a full video on its own. And when you say the word selfish, or I say the word selfish, I think it has a lot of negative connotation behind it. I think when people think about being selfish, they think about how it's being bad, and they associate that with sharing and like all the lessons you learn as a kid about what you should and shouldn't do. And I think that that can be an issue in a lot of people's lives who may be worried about being selfish, who'd like to be people pleasers, who want to help other people. Taking that time for yourself to focus on yourself and to set boundaries in your life that'll make your life easier and go after what makes you happy, so you're not doing things that upset you, is perfectly all right. And I think a lot of people shy away from that, either for, no pun intended, it's not very funny anyways, because they're shy. They may be shy and they don't want to assert themselves. Or even more assertive people, I noticed in my life, I don't consider myself, I consider myself probably more assertive in life, but even myself, I never really set clear boundaries. A lot of the times I would want to go with the flow. It's just because it felt easier to go with the flow most of the time and then assert yourself when you really want something. But when you don't want something, it's easier just to go along with everything if you don't have a solid reason, I used to think. But when I started setting boundaries in my life, and when I say boundaries, I mean like not necessarily rules or guidelines with other people, but just saying no to like an invite. You might be something you really want to do, but sometimes you have to think about your own personal life, like going out on a night that might be inappropriate, and then you end up, if you're hungover the next day, just, and there might be peer pressure, there might be a lot of pushback at first, and it might not even involve drugs or alcohol or going out. It could just be spending time with people that maybe you should spend less time with if they upset you. Like we all have friends that, like I have friends personally that I enjoy spending time with, but it needs to be in smaller doses, because sometimes certain people or certain groups, like if you might have an experience where one-on-one you're really good with one person, and in a group setting that person's a lot different, or yourself is a lot different. And it's okay to understand that, and while it's good to grow as a person, and if you're uncomfortable in a situation, maybe try and expand your horizons. But if you know there's a situation coming that's going to make you uncomfortable, and you know that it might not necessarily help things, like spending time with a certain person who wants to spend time with you, or doing an activity with a group that you may not want to do, that may in the future have repercussions versus just being lazy. But if it's something that will have repercussions that are harmful in your life, it's okay to say no, even if it's a fun thing and you may not have a specific reason that your friends are going to want to listen to, or your family even. You may not have a specific reason. They may say why, and you might not have something, and you don't want to start preaching about a lifestyle that you want to change. Like you might not want to go into all that, and you don't have to. You don't have to explain yourself to others. You don't have to defend your actions when they're not causing harm to others. So by you being selfish and saying no to doing something, and when I say it out loud, I notice it sounds completely unselfish. It sounds silly to call it that, but in the moment when you're being pressured, when someone wants you to do something, then it might feel that way. And it's all about perspective. And at first it could be very hard, especially if you have an attitude where you like to say yes to a lot of things. Because I remember when I was younger, I was I was an athlete in high school, so I would be tired a lot after practice. And I kind of started not even isolating myself, I just wasn't exposing myself constantly. And then I started feeling bad that I was missing fun events, so I started accepting every invite. I said, I'm just gonna accept every invite and I'm gonna go to everything and have a great time. And that helped my life a lot. But then it got to a point where now that I'm older, now that I have an established, I'm more established, I'm not a teenager, it's okay to say no to things, and you You need to find that point in your life where, yes, you want to meet people, you want to grow, but you also know yourself well enough to know what you should and shouldn't be doing, even if it's something you used to enjoy. And that is a really hard part of this as well. If it's something you used to enjoy a lot, and maybe you still do. Personally, like I mentioned earlier, like going out, like going to parties and stuff like that, that's something myself I used to love, and I still do. I love going out, I love talking to people, but I'm finishing up my college career, and now that I'm maturing personally, I know I can't do that as much. I know, and just physically my body can't handle it like it used to. So saying no to things that might have been a big part of your life in the past can be hard. But it's okay to let that go, to understand that you are not that person. I am not Hugh Hefner or something you'd see on some party channels on YouTube. I am not those people. That is not my life. So that was something I needed to understand, where yes, I like to do it, I can't be consumed by it. And I talked about that in the TV episode. I talked about TV and wasting time, how you can identify with certain concepts that are not you, and you are not the things that you don't want to be doing, even if they're things you used to want to do. You are separate from your actions. And when you understand that, it makes taking actions that benefit you personally a lot more easy. When you understand that, let's think of another example. Maybe you're in a band, or you used to be in a band, and you're still friends with your old band members, and they constantly want to practice or go to some karaoke club or something. And now you're getting old, and you want to spend time with them, and that you still consider them your closest friends. So it may hurt to not want to go to your karaoke bar, and it would be something that when you were younger was a big part of your life. But if you have responsibilities, a family, or anything else, a job, you'd have to say no to that. And I think that's an easy concept to understand. You need to do things that you need to choose your actions wisely that work best for you. But when it comes to peer pressure, and I probably should have started calling it that instead of selfishness. When it comes to peer pressure, it's okay to say no. And when you're an adult, it may sound silly. It may not be high school or middle school, do this, do this, do this. It may just be someone asking you and you going, and you've probably all been there, where you want to do it, but you can't. You can, but physically, but you know you shouldn't. And then you end up doing it anyways, because you don't know why. And that's part of the problem. And to me, it used to feel selfish. I would feel like, I used to be that guy. I would say yes to everything. I would go out all the time. I would do this. Now I'll say no so I can stay home and I can work on, I can do laundry. I can do something like that. And when it comes to your personal responsibilities, they need to be done. We've talked about this in other videos as well, some of the more esoteric ideas or religious ideas, whether it's reincarnation. If you believe in that, you'll know that your responsibilities, you can't outrun them, and you can't outrun the consequences of your actions. And while the consequence of the action you're participating in, whether it's going to the karaoke bar, or like in my situation, whether it's going out to like a club or something, those consequences may not be bad. You may say, I'll be hungover Saturday, I'll be good on Sunday. And that may be true. Those consequences are manageable in your mind. But when you start to consider everything you're not doing by doing that, or just the attitude you're going to be in when you're hungover on Saturday, you're not going to be in a good mental state on Sunday. And I think a lot of things, even if it's not substances, the next day you may be like, why did I spend all night doing this? And video games might have been a good example, rather than a karaoke bar as well, is like another game you're up all night because you don't want to say no. And I think I've really hit that point home, so I don't want to keep going too long. I just think it's very important. I think it'll help a lot of your lives. Maybe not everybody, but maybe some of the people more struggling to find themselves being assertive, or personally for me, just when you start to really shift your lifestyle changes, it can be hard to separate from the past and you want to keep accepting, and you just need to focus and understand what you really want. I'm assuming if you're here, you have a goal or at least some idea of who you'd like to be, and you need to think about what's best for them. And it may sound wrong to say, but if you're not hurting anybody in the process, then it's okay to think about what's good for you, and it's okay to turn things down for you to work on yourself. So that's where I'm gonna end it. I hope you take some value from this. I think you can really change your life if you just try and understand. I say that a lot in my videos. If you just try and understand why these things are happening to you, it'll make it so much easier for you to make better choices. So I'm gonna wrap it up there. I've said that 3 times. I hope you're all having a great day. I hope you continue to have a great day. And I'm going to go do something else now. Have a good one, guys.